Welcome to Dr. Penna's Learn How to Use Excel video, part 2. In this part, you'll be learning how to take data that you've typed in and graph it. Now, the data that we're going to use is based on an experiment that you will be doing in class. The experiment is based on the process of osmosis, and osmosis is a natural phenomena where water tends to follow a high solute concentration. So in an area where you have a high sugar concentration or a high salt concentration, water tends to diffuse into that area. And the experiment involves a dialysis bag, which is a porous bag. It will allow water to go in or out, but it won't allow larger molecules like sugar molecules to pass through it. So we will fill up the dialysis bag with a sugar solution. We're going to put that dialysis bag into distilled water, and the hypothesis is that water will enter the bag, trying to, in a sense, dilute the sugar out. And so we expect a weight gain for the dialysis bag, and the data that we generate is imported. I imported this data from another source. That way you didn't have to watch me simply type out data. Again, you will have to type this data out as you get it doing your experiment. But now that I have my data, what I want to do is I want to graph this data. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the Insert tab on Excel. I'm going to click on that on the Insert tab. Okay. And the options where it says Charts, I'm going to click on that little square right on the lower right hand side. I'm going to click on that, and that shows me all the options that I have. If I want to, I can make a bar graph or a pie graph or a simple line graph, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a line graph. I'm going to click on XY scatter. That allows me the most flexibility in making these graphs. I'm going to choose the option that says scatter with smooth lines and markers. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click OK. And what I get is a blank chart. I'm going to move the chart, but I don't want it to cover the data. Okay. And in order to enter my data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the chart. That pulls up a menu, and I'm going to select the option that says Select Data. I'm going to click on Add, because I want to add data, and I'm going to give this data a name. I'm going to say that the name I'm going to give it is simply weight gain in grams. Again, I'm copying and pasting that from another source. Now I want to import my X values. I'm going to click on this icon right here that's going to minimize the box, and I'm simply going to select the data. It says time in minutes, and that's all I have to do. Simply select the data. I'm going to open up my dialog box. You can see that Excel has put something in there. Excel understands it, and that's all that's important. I'm now going to import my Y values. These are my indeterminate values. I'm going to click on the icon, minimize that, and I'm going to highlight all the Y values. And again, notice that I'm highlighting the Y values, but I'm not, I'm not highlighting the title of the column, simply the Y values. As you can see, Excel has already graphed the data. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK again, and I have my graph. But it's not the way that I want it. For one thing, I don't want this legend here on the right-hand side that's simply hogging up room for my graph here. I'm going to right-click on that, put my pointer right on the legend, right-click on it, and then choose the command that says Format Legend. I'm going to fill in the radio button right next to bottom, because that's where I want the legend. I want it at the bottom of the graph. I'm going to hit close, and you can see that the legend is now at the bottom of the graph. What I want to do now is I want to change this title. I don't like this title. I'm going to click on the title here. And once I click on the graph, I get a option up here that says Chart Tools. If I don't click on the chart, that option disappears. Once I click on the chart, though, I have Chart Tools. I'm going to click Layout. I'm going to click Chart Title. I want the chart title above the chart. I'm going to click on the chart, highlight it, and again I'm going to import my chart title from another source. Oops. Okay, and that's what I want. Weight gain due to osmosis. Now, of course, I have to label my x-axis and my x-axis and my y-axis. I'm going to go back to Chart Tools, to Layout. I'm going to choose the Axis Titles, and what I want is the Primary Horizontal Axis Title. I'm going to label my x-axis. I want the title below the axis, so I'll choose that option. And what I'm going to label this is simply time in minutes. I'm actually going to put that right into the formula bar and then hit enter. And there's my title for my x-axis. And then I'm going to label my vertical axis or my y-axis. I'm going to choose rotated title. I think that looks the best there. And this is what I'm going to label weight gain in grams. Type that in the formula bar and hit enter. Okay. Now everything is labeled fine, but one last thing that I want to do is I want to include a trend line here. This line is not a straight line, and that would make any calculation a little bit difficult here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Excel to draw me the nearest straight line, a straight line that will encompass all of these points. And so I'm going to take my cursor, put it right onto the line. I'm going to right click. That pops up another menu, and I'm going to choose the option that says Add Trend Line. I want a linear trend line, so that radio button is filled in already for me. And then what I want to do is I want to display the straight line equation right on the chart. I'm going to click Close. And there you see we have a trend line, and we also have this equation right there. I'm going to move that so that's a little bit more visible. I'm going to go to the Home tab, maybe bold that up and increase the font. And again, this is what I want. This is actually what's going to give me the needed information, is the straight line equation, and in particular that slope. Now Excel has added to the legend this linear line. I don't want that. I think that's a little bit redundant, so I'm going to click on that. I'm just going to select it and then hit delete in my keyboard. And now I have everything that I want. I have the data graphed. I have my trend line with my equation on it. My axes are labeled, and my graph has a title to it. In the next part, part 3, I'll demonstrate how to take all of this and import it into a Word document.